Yes, I have another infamous gangster on my tree. I have to say, not very closely related to me like some of the other ones, but still on my tree. And talking about this guy, Carmine Galante, or Camillo Carmine Galante is his full name, and not born in Castellammare del Golfo, but his family is from Castellammare del Golfo, and he was connected to and actually took over the Bonanno family in the late 70s, where Joe Bonanno was from Castellammare del Golfo. And Joe Barber, who was in the last video, was also Castellammare del Golfo. So this was a bad dude. He was one of the worst of the worst. Sort of like Tommy in Goodfellas, the Joe Pesci character. Okay, this was a bad dude. Law enforcement, they've accused him of participating in between 80 and 100 murders. This is a bad guy. And he did time in the 60s and was released in the early 70s, I think 1974. He was convicted of narcotics trafficking. And he wound up taking over the Bonanno family after he got out of prison, really got into the heroin business. So I wouldn't doubt that he was involved with another infamous gangster who is more closely related to me, Gaetano Badalamenti. So definitely, if you haven't seen that, it is here on the channel. Check that out. Carmine Galante was actually at the famous Appalachian meeting at Joe Barber's house in upstate New York, where finally, because all these gangsters were caught, there was so much evidence that even J. Edgar Hoover could not, had to admit, he couldn't keep denying that there was no such thing as organized crime. How does he even get away with that? There was Al Capone 30 years before, or 20-something years before. How could they not know? How could he get away with that for so long? Even Lucky Luciano, during World War II, while he was in prison, was able to get released early from prison because he did help the United States military with the Sicily operations. So anyway, that's a whole other thing. Carmine Galante was at that meeting. Now, he is one of those guys where, yeah, he was a bad dude, and he got what was coming to him. He was murdered in 1979, July of 1979. And I do have pictures of the murder. So if you don't want to see that, then just skip ahead a little bit. They're not too graphic, but here they are. He was murdered with two other people. One was a cousin, Giuseppe Tirano. And so he still had the cigar in his mouth. So they actually put that photo. Yeah, there it is. Greed, the New York Post. So it did make the cover of a newspaper. So it's a little bloody, but it's not too bad. What I noticed when I was getting ready to actually film this, I noticed that Giuseppe Tirano was a cousin. So I've already mentioned, he is on my tree. Whoa. And there he is. And so the Tirano is very apparent. It's his grandmother. That's his grandmother. So obviously this other murder victim, this 48-year-old Giuseppe Tirano, it's obvious. I've verified it. It's obvious it comes through his nonna, which is Giuseppe Tirano. Anyone wondering why this criminal was named Camillo? It is because that is his nonno. So the European naming tradition is that the firstborn male is named for the paternal nonno, the grandfather. Firstborn girl is named for the paternal grandmother. So that's why he actually has a sister named Angelina. If you are the second-born male, then, like apparently Camillo is, then you are named for your maternal nonno, which is Camillo Russo. When I saw Russo there, I thought, oh, man, this is going to be easy to connect, and he's probably going to go to Genesi, or he's going to go to Carini or Terracini. It didn't. His entire line that I have found was all Castellammare del Golfo, all of it. But I wasn't able to connect him. If I have more time, I'll do another video if I do connect all these guys. I wasn't able to connect him to Joe Bananas or Stefano Magaddino or any of the other Joseph Barber. I wasn't able to connect him to any of them yet. But I was able to get pretty far back. So Camillo, and in Camillo, you could see his second great-grandfather is also Camillo Stefano Russo. And unfortunately, I was not able to get further back than about 1745. And I estimate that because I do have Camillo's 1770 baptism record, which is, and I do have the marriage record, because I know that so that's how I know Stefano Russo and Francesca Avila. That's how I know that those are the parents. So let me go through here. I'm getting these records from the Family Search catalog, familysearch.org. And so let's take a look here. We'll look at his 1770 baptism record. Oh, and it's a bang. I mean, it's a good one. This one's pretty good. This is a very high-end Castellammare del Golfo record. Again, it's 26 December 1770, and it's fairly easy to read. So that was pretty good. So that's the second oldest baptism record that I have for this line. I have the marriage record. So I know that you see, if you don't have the records, don't put them on the tree. You can't go by these hints. Although the hints on this one were pretty good. So here we've got the 26th of October, 1796, and it's pretty good. So you can see I've got Camillo. We'll blow that up. Camillo Russo, and then we have his parents are Stefano and Francesca. So 1796. But unfortunately, I have not been able to find the baptism record for. I was not able to find a marriage record for Stefano Russo and Francesca. So I'm thinking that is where it goes into a different city. So they were definitely not married in Castellammare del Golfo. So these two may have been from somewhere else, or at least Stefano Russo. I did get much further back than 1745 for Carmine's direct Galante line. So I was not able to get his birth record, which is in New York City, East Harlem, because you got to pay for the New York records. New York, there's a lot of reasons why New York sucks. That's one of them. Also, it's these, insanely annoying accents that the natives tend to have. So, but I was able to get his father's baptism record, but I want to go back a bit further so that you can see here, Vincenzo and Rosario, those are the firstborn. So that goes all the way back. Yeah, we have a Rosario in 1710, and then it diverges. And we get back to a Niccolo Galante, 1647. Now, I know that it's Niccolo and Vincenza. I know that because this is the oldest marriage record that I have, and it is 1709. Let me I have to hit the right one. 1709. Now, I got to admit, this is very difficult. This is your typical Castellammare del Golfo. They're very, very faded. It's not that the penmanship is really bad. It's just they're really faded. It's not illegible, but it's very difficult to read. So I will say that I did have a little help, because here in Castellammare del Golfo, what they do have on the Family Search, what they do have is they have. They do have an index here. They have these indexes. So when we go to the index, this was, if it ever opens up, Cox cable for you right there, everybody. Usually very good. Here we've got the index. Now, I don't know who did this or when they did it, but their penmanship was way better. And so it's probably not nearly as old. So they did all the heavy lifting for me on this particular record. So I was able to easily decipher what was on the record. So the father being Niccolo and Vincenza and the mother, that really helped out immensely when I was looking at the actual marriage record. It was a lot easier to decipher because somebody actually did that for me, which was really, really cool. Again, I'm estimating his birthday based on when he got married in 1709. Figure he's 19, 20 years old. It's not a bad estimate. All right, so we get back over here. The oldest baptism record I have here is Vincenzo Galante, and that is going to be in 1744. Now, if I remember right, this is a bang. This one, yeah, this is actually 1744. This is pristine for Castellammare del Golfo, especially being that it is so old. It's not really faded very much, very little. Very legible, very, very legible. Although they spelled Galante with an I, not an E, which is not a big deal. Yeah, that's pretty. So this is the oldest baptism record I have in this particular line. So that is actually Carmine Galante's third great grandparents, Vincenzo Galante and Maria Camarda. Yeah, I thought with Mione I'd be able to make a connection to some of the other gangsters, but not so much. I got back pretty far on this one. I went back this far because I thought I was actually going to connect to some of these other gangsters, but about 1709 is the limit there. Interesting though that we have a few Barones. I could have gone and used his wife's line, who I'm fairly certain that Helen Marulli is from Castellammare del Golfo. She's from New York. I think her family is from Castellammare del Golfo, but I didn't want this video to take, so much long. It already took enough time. This was a lot. This is a lot of work. I got him on my tree fairly quickly, but because Galante, but yeah, it was still a lot of work because these records are terrible. So that's it for Camillo Carmine Galante, an infamous criminal in American history who got what he deserved. Definitely got what he deserved. So let's not be like Carmine Galante. Instead,
go home and get your fucking shine box.